the NFL in QBR and throwing a league-high 22 touchdown passes with only 3 interceptions. The Cowboys 8-0 at home and have averaged 37.4 points per game, the most by any team in a season since 2014. You would hope this would give them an opportunity, if you're a Cowboys fan, to finally win in the playoffs with this group. All right, Dan, Dak struggled in a matchup last year against this Packers defense. What did you take away from that game?
Yeah, early on the game, the Packers defense took away the middle of the field, and Dak continued to try to throw it to CeeDee Lamb with some of those choice routes, and that's where they got themselves in trouble. Now, Green Bay adjusted, decided to play a little bit more man coverage. When they played man coverage, and I think Jair being around has got to be the biggest part of that. Can they match up guy for guy? When they played with middle field open, that's when they struggled. Now, man-to-man is not who Green Bay wants to be. They want to be a little bit of a softer defense, give you completions on the outside. It'll be interesting to see how they adjust, because when they did play those two safeties, they packed the middle of the field. Now, the interesting thing is they're not good at defending the middle of the field, and I think Dallas has gotten away from some of these, I guess, choice routes or decision-making routes. And it was really good adjustment last year by Dak and the offense to start throwing the ball outside of the numbers. When they started to throw the ball, really pushing the sidelines, is when they had a ton of success. So does Green Bay decide to play middle field open? Does Dallas initially go throw the ball outside and have more success on the perimeter? I think just paying attention to how those two teams played last year leads me to think like Dallas early on will try to throw the ball outside.
I got to give my sister MK some love, because she talked about this game and how Green Bay played against Chicago up front. And I kind of wanted to go back to that picture and see what they were doing. That is the unit that's going to have to be the defensive leaders in this game if Green Bay is going to have a chance to win this game. And they're creating one-on-ones, then they're doing it in a very unique way. We've talked about simulated pressure, but they're bringing Quay Walker from a little bit of off the ball to create these one-on-ones, and then Luke Van Ness gets in for a sack. But not only that, it's the occupy, right? This is a simulated. He shimmies. They create a game inside. They need this one-on-one for their guard not to help. 76 is in no man's land. Justin scrambles up, and Quay Walker is there waiting on him. And these are some of the things we've seen Dallas offensive line struggle with. We've seen people get after those tackles when they don't have help. So this will be something I'm sure they want to bring into this game. They did it against an athletic quarterback. They mixed in some 5-man pressure and simulated to make sure that they could keep Justin Fields bottled up. But I think this game, it'll be about getting their guys singled up on these offensive linemen and seeing if they can get to work on Dak Prescott. Cut the head off the snake, as opposed to what Dan just talked about, trying to cover these dudes on the back end.
Really quick, though, you wonder how much of that was wanting to spy Justin Fields, right? Yeah. We saw late in the game, Quay Walker steps up and gets a sack when Justin Fields tries to escape. And the other thing is if you're going to try to occupy guys with Quay Walker, what about the way that CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson can work the middle of the field?
That's a really good point. Yeah, we've seen him be extremely successful alongside CeeDee Lamb. Mina, on the other side of the ball, how do you see the Packers game planning for this Cowboys defense with Jordan Love at the helm?
It's a harder matchup for the Packers offense because the Cowboys defense is much better than the Packers defense. But I think there's a couple things they can take advantage of, areas where Dallas has struggled. One, and I know Marcus would go to this first, they struggle to defend runs, particularly runs to the outside. They're actually last in success rate in that metric. And Green Bay, I think, has the ability to attack them that way with both Aaron Jones, who was excellent in Week 18, but also Jordan Love, who's an underrated scrambler. I wouldn't be surprised if they throw in a couple designed runs for him as well. And then the other thing that I think is worth noting, another area where Dallas has struggled, is when quarterbacks are on the move. On designed rollouts, they're actually 24th in EPA per play, and Love has been excellent throwing on the move. First in yards per play, second in EPA per play on the boots. His arm talent enables him to make difficult throws even when defenders are bearing down on him, and lead his speedy young wide receivers to get yards after the catch. So that's something I'd also like to see out of with Green Bay, the boot game.
I'm looking for Aaron Jones in this run game. You go back to last week, he averaged 5 yards a carry versus the Chicago Bears, but it was on the perimeter. There was a lot of misdirection. And if you go back to the Miami Dolphins game, there was a lot of going behind the line of scrimmage and searching out and having that misdirection led by whether it was a fullback or a tight end, and also some unblocked defensive ends, which we've seen teams utilize against Micah Parsons as well. And so I look forward to seeing how they utilize the run game. That's Matt LaFleur, the head coach of the Green Bay Packers, and how they adjust off of that to get into play action if they start to wear down the Dallas Cowboys up front.
Yeah, RC, that's a great point. I was going to piggyback on MK about the split flow. We talked about that earlier this year. Dallas has struggled on fits on the edge of the line of scrimmage. We talked about moving Micah Parsons in the middle, thinking that that could remedy some of that because of his sideline-to-sideline tracking ability. But this is one of those games where, as a defense on the edge, when you get this split flow and you get these tight ends either trying to create a bounce for the outside or dig guys out so Aaron Jones can be up through the center of the line of scrimmage, they have to be on the same page on the edges and with those linebackers about fits, because the fits are what creates the stoppage of the run. If you don't fit right, to your point, Aaron Jones could have a huge day on these runs just by scheme.
Real quick, Micah, on the ball or off the ball this week, RC?
I think he has to be both. And I think you have to be extremely smart if you're Dan Quinn about when.
By the way, I try to be real serious on this show, but after you said, Marcus, you were going to piggyback on Mina, I now have this visual of Mina Kimes giving Marcus Spears a piggyback ride. And that is a better visual than all of us picking the Cowboys.
That'll be the last piggyback ride she gives.
like an overweight.
That'll be the last piggyback ride.
And somebody, please do like a Photoshop of that happening. Also, we all picked the Cowboys. That's crazy. She's really strong. I don't know. Will be New England's new head coach, replacing one of the greatest of all time in Bill Belichick, who's expected to get an opportunity somewhere else after parting ways amicably with the Pats. So we're now joined by star Patriots linebacker Matthew Judon. Thanks so much for being with us. It's been an eventful 24 hours. What would you tell us about the feeling inside the locker room, knowing now that Gerard Mayo will be taking over as your new head coach?
Well, I mean, I think right now, a lot of people, since the season's over, we got out of town and stuff, but we're on text threads and stuff talking, and I think it's a lot of excitement for a guy like Mayo to get that job and to see what he can do in the lead position and actually, running his own ship. And, just from being a former player to a coach to actually he has a business background. He left the game for a little bit, but it called him back. And that's a homegrown talent and a coach. So I think we're really excited to see what he can do for the upcoming season and actually get to learn more from him and get to see the game how he actually wants to portray it.
Yeah, you've put up big sack numbers during your time with the Patriots. How has Mayo helped you personally during your time in New England?
Not from coaching, but I think challenging me as a player and as a leader and as like a game changer. He challenges you outside of the locker room to be a better man on and off the field, and I think that's one thing that helps. And I think just from him, just knowing the game and just being a part of the game for so long and having the success that he had, I think that also helps as well, because he's seen it from on the field and he's seen it off the field, the success. But he also knows the setbacks that comes with the game, like injuries, but just knowing that, regardless of the age, that people still got a lot in the tank, and knowing how to bring the young guys and get them adapted and up to speed as fast as the older guys, so you can all see one vision. And I think that's one thing he loved to say. He'd be like, I don't care if I'm right or you right. I want us to see the same picture.
I love that. We'll probably use that. So thanks for sharing it with us. By the way, great tripod work by you there. Thanks for joining us, Matthew Judon, for being here on NFL Live. We appreciate
Steady hands.
Oh, So Monday night, Super Wild Card Weekend is capped off with a matchup between the Eagles and Buccaneers. 8 Eastern on ABC, ESPN, and ESPN Plus. Our MegaCast coverage also includes Peyton and Eli on ESPN2 and our ESPN Deportes Spanish language version. NFL Live will be there as well. We get you started at 3 p.m. for a 2-hour show. All right, let's get to the injury report, okay? We're going to start in Philly, where Jalen Hurts dealing with a finger injury on his throwing hand. He threw in warm-ups today after saying yesterday that he hadn't thrown a football all week. Also, wide receiver A.J. Brown was not at practice again today as he deals with the knee injury. That's pretty telling if you think about the Eagles. All right, let's go to Detroit next, and that's where we pick up with tight end Sam Laporta. He left Sunday's game with a knee injury, officially listed as questionable for Sunday's playoff game against the Rams. That's big. We're going to pick that game in just a little bit. He says he's optimistic that he'll play and was seen catching passes from Jared Goff at practice today, so that at least is a good sign for the Lions. All right, let's go to Green Bay, where star cornerback Jair Alexander,
Nina's favorite player,
missed practice again today after suffering